Welcome to the Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. As the nation's first community college, JJC has been making history since 1901. With more than 70,000 alumni, we have an endless supply of stories to share. Listen in to find out how deep our alumni's JJC roots go and how far they've been able to branch out into our community and beyond. Welcome back, friends, and thank you so much for joining us on this next episode of the JJC Alumni Podcast. You know, from the beginning of this adventure into podcasting, I've been so lucky to have a long list of alumni guests who've not only agreed to be on the show, but have actually sought me out to say that they'd love to join us. And today's guest did exactly that. Now, before I get into that story, I would love to introduce you to Noah Kraulidis, and he is the Employer Relations Manager at National Louis University in Chicago. Noah, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. It's a pleasure to be here as not only a proud JJC alum, but my wife is actually an alum of JJC as well. So a lot of great memories, a lot of great experiences, and excited to be here today. Thanks for having me on.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't realize you guys were an alumni couple. How cute is that?
Yeah.
And it's February. It's Valentine's month. Oh, I love that. So, well, that's great.
Love is in the air.
Yeah, love is in the air. You know, so truth be told, I had another guest lined up for our February podcast, and some things had to change and we had to reschedule. And Noah, your message to me on LinkedIn came like moments after I found out that was all going to change. And I want to read really quickly what you said to me in that message, because I think it was really why I knew I needed to have you on this podcast episode. But
Absolutely.
You wrote to me, "Hi, Jen. I'm a JJC alum currently working in higher education and career services and employer relations. And I've been reflecting a lot on how JJC set the foundation for my career, even though my path wasn't linear. I think there's a meaningful story in sharing how community college prepared me to explore, pivot, and ultimately land in work that I genuinely enjoy, and how careers are often more about looking backward than forward." So I love that you sent that to me and that you were so interested in finding a way to reconnect with us, be a part of things. So what made you reach out in that moment?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jen. I appreciate you reading that out. And the reason I want to reach back out and be a part of the podcast specifically was I've benefited during my time both at junior college and during my four-year college career and in my career in general for people that have lended their time to me. And I've really appreciated people that have invested when they haven't had to. There's a lot of things that are constantly competing with our calendars, things that are very busy. There's
Yes.
never a lack of things to actually do. And something that I found a ton of value in early in my career was people that would share their experience. Hey, I went through
Yes.
this. You don't have to go through this. Or, hey, it's okay that you're feeling this way because you might have this idea of how something's supposed to be, but this is really how it goes in terms of careers. When I heard someone say the career paths
Absolutely.
aren't linear, it was a great just grounding moment for me. So whenever I'm able to do that for people, whether that's through my four-year alma mater or through JGC as an alum, I love to share my story, help people, and be a resource to make sure people feel they're not alone.
Yeah, well, I love that. And obviously, your time at JJC was impactful. The fact that you do still reminisce about it and you feel like you got your foundation here. So let's go back in time and let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about how you decided to come to JJC. I'm sure there were a lot of reasons and a lot of factors in your life. So what led you here to start as a student?
Yeah, so I'm from the area in terms of the Joliet area. So I grew up in Joliet and I actually went to Plainfield Central High School. So I was local in the area. My family's from the area. And really what kind of drove that decision to go to JJC was candidly when I was graduating high school, like many people are in their young lives, they aren't exactly sure where they want to go. I had these ideas of, hey, I would love to be maybe a teacher, maybe teach business classes, or I played basketball in high school, so maybe I'll go teach, or maybe I'll be a basketball coach, or my dad went to the business field, maybe I'll do that. And I just didn't have a good idea of exactly what that path looked like for me. And for me, one
Yeah,
thing I really value is family and community. And the opportunity
love
to
that.
be able to stay close to home and be able to figure that out with a strong support system with my family and my friends was very important to me. Also, to be honest as well, I see community college as a great opportunity for people from an affordability standpoint to be able to set themselves up for
Yes.
success, get those resources, get invested in, and be able to meaningfully transition, whether that's directly into the workforce or to a four-year college, while they're set up for success financially
Yeah,
and maybe a little bit more mature than we might be when we enter somewhere as 18. I know.
absolutely.
I'll speak for myself there, but I just thought it was a great fit for me at that time, and I'm happy I made the choice.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that too. I mean, that is a lot of your reasons for coming here are a lot of the reasons that our alumni share, the affordability, the being close to home. And then obviously
Mhm.
what keeps you here though are the experiences while you're on campus. And I know that you really did have a great time in those couple years. Obviously, you met your wife, and so that's not a bad deal. But you also had a teacher that was pretty impactful at your time here, right? You kind of shared that and our
Yeah.
conversations. Who was that?
Yeah, so yeah, I had a lot of great experiences. It's funny for my wife and I, we went to high school together. So we're actually high school sweethearts, JJC Wolves and ISU Redbirds too.
Oh my gosh.
So we collect all three in terms of our journey together. But in addition to being able to do that through someone who I'm blessed to now call my wife and have been married for 4 happy years together, and
That's
have be able to go
amazing.
through that together and support each other. I did also have a lot of great experiences on campus. Luckily, I had some friends that were there for me to where we could kind of go through this higher education journey and kind of figuring out who we were together. So I was blessed to have that. But yeah, also some great faculty that had invested in me. I did mention one faculty member in particular. Her name is Nancy McCoy, and we still keep in touch. I think I talked to Nancy. I think it's long overdue now. I need to send her a text afterwards here, but I think like last year. And not a lot of people could probably say that they keep up with faculty members from when they were 19 at that time. So,
That's
yeah,
great.
I mean, Nancy was great. She taught business courses there. And the reason, particularly, why that was such a great experience was one thing that I really instill in my day to day lives is I try and push myself outside of comfort zones. I try and deliberately put myself in areas where I can learn, where I could grow. And Nancy was someone who really pushed us to be the best versions of ourselves, both in terms of what our careers will expect from us, from managers, what having to make hard decisions, but also show up to your best selves when it comes to class every single day and put in the best effort. And like I said, step outside your comfort zone, maybe do something when you're not ready, but on the other side, you feel like you've grown a ton. So I feel like taking a lot of values from her and other mentors at that time into
Yeah.
my professional life now and how I operate.
Well, and I really think that those are the characteristics that make such a wonderful teacher is when you take a class, when you're learning just more than the content. And
Mhm.
and grant, I mean, obviously that's what you're there for, and they help guide you in your career. But those teachers that can really help teach you some valuable life lessons and things that you carry on. I mean, that's just, I don't know, you can't ask for a better educational experience when you have teachers like that. And like you said, we have so many here at JJC. So I love that you are
Mhm.
still keeping in contact with her and gave her a little shout out here on the
Yeah.
podcast today.
It's so important, and if you don't mind, just on the piece of during that time as well, when you're still figuring out things and
Yes.
your identity isn't figured out as much, at least for my case, and figuring out where am I going to be? There's a lot of imposter syndrome, intimidation. Where am I going to end up?
Mhm.
How am I going to end up? Am I going to make it? And to have faculty members that are willing to have those conversations, be able to support you, but also push you when needed is really important. So, yeah, absolutely.
That's great. I love that elaboration. And then obviously, you found your place in business and you
Mhm.
graduated from JJC and decided to continue your business study. And you went to
Mhm.
Illinois State University, like you said,
Yeah.
became a Redbird. And our happy couple, you guys followed and went together again. I think that's so great. So you get
Yeah.
to ISU. And what was experience like there? Do you feel like having started at JJC made your time there more successful?
Yeah. So again, it was very lucky that I was able to be at the same institution for my now wife. Yes, I graduated with an associate's degree in business, so I went the full weight there. Proud
Awesome.
double owner of the degrees, the associates and the bachelor's, which is I wear that proudly. And then also, yeah, my wife, she was actually part of the nursing program over there. So two very different but great experiences.
Yes. Two
So
fantastic departments.
yeah, absolutely. So it was, we're not only lucky to be able to take that journey to Illinois State together, but it was like, super exciting as a couple to be able to have both chapters of that life. Me graduating with a business degree, where that associates very proudly finished up and got the associates there before transferring over, and then my wife actually as part of the nursing program over there at JGC, and then transferring to Illinois State, and us being able to take that journey, both ends of it together was great.
That's
And here's the
awesome.
point of now walking onto campus as a
Mhm.
junior versus a fresh 18-year-old in Bloomington and living away from home for the first time. Honestly, I think it was very helpful for me because I think if I joined directly into that 4-year path as an 18-year-old, I don't know if I would have been as successful. I feel like I came in a little bit more mature, still not very mature. I mean, as mature as a 20-year-old could be right in
Yeah.
college, right?
Right.
but I think I had that hard work aspect of academics instilled into me when I was here at JJC. I was very invested. I wanted to be successful, as most people probably want to be in their academics, and being able to build those strong skills of working. Okay, what do strong study habits look like? How do I really handle time management when I have to right now? I also was working at the time too, but I worked at every part of my college journey. So being in a place where I had a strong support system, be able to work, pursue higher education, and really figure out what works for me, make mistakes,
Yes.
but mistakes that were okay at that time, being able to kind of do that in a place where they
Yeah.
weren't catastrophic or anything. And like I said, I think just the maturity that I came in with was really helpful. But the flip end of it, Jen, and a reason why I like to be on podcasts like this, why I like to be back at Illinois State when I can, was there was just a little bit of an aspect to feeling behind at times. I felt like I was matured and
Yeah.
I had strong foundation set. But I remember coming on the campus, and there's people where I'm coming in and I'm figuring this all out for the first time. I'm figuring out how to, I don't know,
Yes. And they had been.
where the cafeterias, where all
Yeah.
these things are, and there's people that have been there for 2 years already or done internships. So that was one thing that I'm always very happy to share, is how I tackled things as a transfer student. And I'm, in addition to being very proud of being a community college alum, is also just being a transfer student, having that identity, because I feel like a lot of people are there, and I feel like there's an opportunity just in higher ed to be able to help share those support services and highlight those folks and tell those
Yes.
stories a little bit more.
Well, and I think that I like that you mentioned how you said like just the maturity level and the time
Mhm.
management and so many pieces that go into it. I mean, I know that when I was 18 years old in a long time ago, but I do remember that it was like a pressure still at that point to like go away. And I don't think that community college was presented to me personally in enough way to like think like, oh, this is a great choice. And I'm so happy to see that starting to change. I'm seeing more and more
Mhm.
students really realizing I'm not quite ready to take that jump and live on campus and do this, or I'm not quite ready to invest that kind of finances in it, or I'm just not quite ready as a student. I need to prove myself within my major. And so the fact that you are seeing that at such a young age and sort of knew this is where I want to start, this is where I need to start. And yeah, I'm sure the whole transitional process, of kids who had been there a couple of years and then you're kind of coming
Mhm.
in, but you also came in with, like you said, the time management skills and a wealth
Mhm.
of knowledge already and a foundation to get you started. And obviously, you had a wonderful time at ISU. You're a very
Mhm.
proud alum and you want to keep giving back. How, as an alum, how do you stay connected to Illinois State as well?
Yeah, so I luckily, when I joined, one thing that I really focused on was getting involved early with organizations or finding like-minded individuals behind me. So luckily, during my time there, I was part of a professional business fraternity, Alpha Kappa Psi, and I'm regularly still in touch with them. Every time I'm back on campus, I
That's
usually will send
awesome.
a note to whoever's the kind of the acting president or such, and I'm sitting in the student center. I'll have current members or aspiring members come up and chat with me, and it feels very, very full circle. And yeah, I feel a little old when that happens, but it's sobering. But I was like, wow, I was like right there. So that's great. And in the same spirit of being able to give back and speak to folks and try and just kind of give people a perspective and support them. And also now I am serving on the Alumni Association Board of Directors. So I'm finishing up my first year there in the next few months here, but I've been on the board of directors there helping represent our alumni voice for Illinois State. And I regularly get the chance to go back to campus, network with our alumni, but also just be a voice and kind of that representative for the alumni with others to help advance the mission of the university, which is great. So I love getting involved when I can and investing in folks. And because I tell the big part of JJC played a great aspect in my life, Illinois State played a great aspect in my life. Both of them helped form my higher ed journey. And I love to be able to get involved when I can in those opportunities, whether it's on a panel or on a podcast.
Well, and we love that you wanna be involved. I mean, and I think
Yes.
that now that you're also in higher ed, and like you said, that
Mhm.
that's where you've led. So you told me you wanted to be a teacher, you had that aspiration, and then kinda got to JJC and was really exploring business and realized that was a little bit more of the direction that you wanted to go with job
Mhm.
opportunities and things. But still, through your whole journey, you have now made it back to higher ed, working with
In a
National
good
Louis
way, right?
University. And and while simultaneously still playing big roles in the colleges that shaped you. So
Mhm.
you're living in the higher ed world right now. What do you love about the job that you're currently in, working in career services and workforce development?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing. And if I can add to kind of how I got here, because we add the piece of the untraditional, or maybe not linear, I guess is what I would say, career path that people may think. But to answer your question off that, I love working in career services. I get to work. Luckily, a lot of the majors I work with are similar to where my background was. I came from a business background, business fraternity, and I get to work a lot with their business students, marketing students, and get to just invest in them. I feel like I get both great ends of the spectrum as I get to talk to some awesome employers and talk about how great our students are and talk about why they should hire them, why they should come on campus, talk about their companies, invest in our students. And then I also get to bring those opportunities for internships and job opportunities to our students and open up pathways or share opportunities they might not thought are available. And then
Yes.
also too, if they're interested in something, help them get there. Where they, hey, I'm really excited for something, but I've never done an interview before in my life. Well, let's do a mock interview. Let's talk about that. Let's help make sure you
Such
feel
an
confident,
important role.
prepared, and the best version of yourself when you walk into that room. And I always tell students, hey, I don't want you to walk out of the interview and they're like, hey, X was a great person, but let's interview a few more people and let's make a decision. I want them to be like, oh my gosh, stop what we're doing, go write up an offer letter, and let's get that person hired.
Yes, we need
So
that
let them know
person
that
back.
everything that I do is in that mission, and we work with them, and look, it's been very rewarding. And to the part, Jen, of the career path, I talk to students a lot. I worked at a very big tech company before I worked in higher ed, and so I can be that version of, hey, like, career paths are not linear. Your first job may not be your only job. You might actually be doing
Oh,
something
yeah.
different in 6 years, but that doesn't mean that your first
Absolutely.
role does not play pivotal moments in your development. Because for me,
Yes.
I always love teaching. Mentorship is something that I really value and I look to be able to do when I can. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned, I wasn't initially interested in business education was a big thing. I was like, okay, be a business teacher, all that. And I
Yeah.
felt a little intimidated by that. And, I didn't know
Mhm.
particularly if I wanted to kind of go into that lane. So I ended up doing marketing, getting a degree in marketing and professional sales from Illinois State. But the thing that I did enjoy a lot, which I do get to still do in higher
Yeah.
ed, and many teachers do, is the relationship aspect of things.
Yes.
So I really
Mhm.
enjoyed helping people solve their problems. And so, from a sales and business development aspect of that, obviously, as we could
Mhm.
do all day. And if you get in the right role, you're able to help solve some awesome problems, meet some awesome people, and develop some great skills. So, for me,
Yeah.
that was what I really liked about that from the business side of things, helping people solve problems and be their best selves in terms of operationally. And I actually had a great opportunity right out of school to be part of it, the sales team of an ed tech startup company. It was actually founded at Illinois State.
That's
So
interesting.
it was a
Awesome.
great opportunity to be able to be, yes, work with higher ed, work to be able to impact education, but kind of explore this aspect of business I was really interested in. So I was there for about 3.5 years, and it was a startup, so it was a little bit smaller in terms of a company, and was there at a great time. But I got some awesome development to be able to learn under some great leaders, some people. It's not often you get to you know sit not too far away from a CEO and be able to learn from co-founders constantly. So um,
Yeah.
while every role has its ups and downs of things. So it was definitely super great for my development and loved working there. And I had the opportunity to work to a larger tech company and really just kind of after 3.5 years figure out, hey, I want to try something different. I've been here. Is it sales? Is it education that I like? It was kind of a pressure tester
Right.
of it. It was a great opportunity. I was there for about a year and I learned a ton, which helped me in my role here now in terms of how corporations make decisions, how they do things, types of roles that are happening. But after about a year there, I really just did realize that my heart lives in education. So I was looking
Yeah.
back into ed tech maybe a little bit, or I knew that there was this goal of higher ed long term. But I wasn't like, hey, do I just like, I don't know, quit my job and go back to school? Like, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what this looks like. So luckily, and I'll give this person a shout out to Patrick Hall, who handles a lot of the employer
Oh, my
relations
buddy
at
Patrick. Yes.
JJC. I had reached out to him as I was saying, hey, I'm an alum and I'm looking to get into higher ed. Here's my backgrounds. Google and ChatGPT tell me that I'd be good in employer relations. I don't really
Yeah.
know that much about it.
Yeah.
Would you mind just letting me know, kind of giving me some advice? And I
Oh
remember
gosh,
talking to
great
him.
guy to ask that question too.
Yeah,
That's
he's awesome. I think I told you I just sent him an email the other day and checked in. I'll let him know that we give him a shout out here. But yeah, he had just shared some knowledge of his background and why he got into it, and it was really valuable for me. And that's why I like
I'd
to do
love to
these
hear
things
that.
because that wasn't something he had to do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm sure he gets tons of things, tons of emails, a lot of things that happen. And he took the time to talk to me about that. And I did the same with a few other local
Mhm.
Chicagoland professionals
Yeah.
in career services and employer relations, many of those that I keep up to today, in addition to Patrick. And an opportunity came up at the institution I'm at right now. And I kind of took the leap
Rest
because
is
it's very
history.
different being in corporate sales and business development to being in
Oh, I
higher
bet.
education. Very different,
Mhm.
but I'm very happy with my experience here at NLAU that I'm at. And yeah, it's been great to be able to just invest. And I realized that was where my interests really were, was the impacting of education. And I still get to do a lot of the stuff that I did the corporate world to the business development and chatting with employers and helping hear about how do we solve their problems, what they need from a talent perspective. But I do share with students all the time of just,
Yeah.
hey, I've had people there. Wow, how'd you end up where you're at now? You worked for this larger company, or you seemed like you
Yeah.
were on the avenue. I thought I was going to be a sales manager, and now I'm in higher ed.
Mhm.
So it's a cool opportunity to be able to share that with students. But each role taught me a lot to help me get to where I am now.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's a common theme, I think, with so many alums who've joined us on this podcast or been in our Roots and Branches videos or even just come to speak to our students on panels and in mentorship is that the percentage of those of us who started in one place and ended up in a place
Mhm.
we didn't expect just based on different opportunities, job experiences, mentors, and people in our life. I mean, that percentage is incredibly high. I mean, I've said it a bunch
Mhm.
of times on the podcast, but I was a teacher. I was teaching English 101 and I worked at different colleges. I love teaching. I love that aspect of being in front of a classroom and helping students learn
Mhm.
to write, especially at the college level. It was so rewarding. And just things in life shifted, and I was looking for a different opportunity that was still higher ed. And now I
Mhm.
found this place in the foundation and doing what I get to do that's just tapping into other elements of my creativity and my experience. I don't think I could do this job the way that I do it had I not experienced all those other previous opportunities. And they all came
Mhm.
together. And I feel like that's exactly what you're explaining is how, you love teaching, you love business, you love the tech side of things. And then all those little pieces just came together and you are able to find this job now where you've sort of found a fit. You realize where all of your
Yeah.
talents and interests can come together. But had you not explored those different things or had the teachers and mentors in college that told you that it was okay to change your mind, to take risks,
Mhm.
jump into things. What did you say in our conversation about like choosing discomfort that you have to choose discomfort? Now, is that coming
Yeah.
just from your experience or does it have something to do with the fact that you're also like an endurance runner? Because I think endurance runners maybe are real good at that whole discomfort thing, but
I
tell
think a
me more
little bit.
about that mentality.
Yeah. It's funny. I love it. I love that you're bringing up the running piece.
I had
We have
to.
a
I
whole other
had to.
podcast on it, so feel free
I
to,
know.
maybe we do a part two.
Sure.
But yes, I'm gonna answer that in two parts of it. Number one, I just
Okay.
wanted to, before we move on to the piece that you said, hey, you talked about how much being an English teacher helps unpack things and it's okay to explore.
Yep.
That is a big thing that when I talk about chatting with students or just sharing with young professionals that I'm in higher ed. I'm not doing anything in marketing. I'm not doing sales on paper and
Sure.
doing air quotes for the audio folks. But that doesn't mean that because I'm no longer on that career path or I'm no longer in corporate business development, that was a failure or I made the wrong decision.
Exactly.
I think that is the part of like, that's why I like to talk about they're all like growth areas of each piece of it. And that's hard. Honestly, when I was there, I'm like, if I could, there's so much pressure. And that was like the hard part. I don't know. A lot of people maybe in community college feel the same of, I don't really know where I want to be, or you feel so, you don't feel 100% around the major that you're going into, but the
Absolutely.
skills and the experience that you're having on a career is not, it's not just, hey, if you can work at one job and you have a great experience and you're there for 40 years and you retire, awesome. That is amazing. And I love that. But, we're seeing it more commonly to where jobs play seasons in people's lives, even if it's maybe a role where you join and it doesn't feel like the best fit for you right there. I always look at, well, hey, there's nothing that's a failure. I tell students with internships all the time, if you do an internship and you hated it, great. That's awesome. Let's celebrate. You know exactly what you don't want to do, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Like, let's
Right.
figure it out. Now let's go do the other stuff. And like,
Exactly.
and I just love that part. I didn't want to let go of that, of just how important it is that each plays its role and we grow
So true.
constantly.
Yep.
I'll answer to the second part of what you said about
Yeah,
choosing.
sorry I slipped that in, but I had to.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Choosing the discomfort piece. I'll talk about on both ends here. Let's save the running for the last piece, but the part about choosing discomfort, and I'll tell stories as I tend to do. One thing that I really struggled with when I was in junior college and in Illinois State, and a little bit, I probably still deal with it a little bit now, is in terms of when we talk about risk, and there's two things. There's healthy risk. There's things that are smart, or you should bet on yourself, and obviously there's risk that you should wear your seatbelt when you're in the car. Don't take those risks. That's an
Right.
unnecessary risk
Yeah.
to be there. But we had that out of the way. I really was very risk averse because I was always very fearful, and it feels a little bit vulnerable to say that things not working out or making the wrong decision.
Mhm.
And that was something where I had some really close moments. I mentioned the business fraternity I was a part of now, and I was at Illinois State. I was probably, I don't know, a percent or two difference of not continuing that rushing or pledging process at that time because I felt intimidated, because I felt like I didn't belong in the room with those folks because they'd already had 2, 3 internships. They have a suit that fits them. I had a friend's one that I borrowed that's a little bit too big. And that was an opportunity. And I went, hey, I'm going to do this with a lot of fear, probably at that time. But I said, I'm going to do this. If it doesn't work out, we'll see. But I was this close to not doing it. And I think back sometimes being like, man, I'm so happy I did, or I'd be kicking
And
myself.
push through. Mhm.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of moments like that in my life where something is hard or something is out of what I'm used to doing.
Yes.
And I go immediately, our minds, a lot of people probably resonate of, well, that's too much. That's not
Mhm.
me, or I can't do that. The choosing discomfort piece, especially, I started running a couple years ago. And talk about discomfort. I was outside
Oh,
running yesterday. I
yes.
think it was 10 degrees with some wind chill. And I got some runs in. But that of there's the mental piece of it, and I really enjoy that because I'm always looking to push myself in a different way. So for that, I signed up for a half marathon, and then now I have 2 marathons under my belt, and I'm training for my first ultra marathon in May,
Wow.
which will be
Congratulations.
50 kilometers, which is just a shade over
Oh,
31 miles.
just a little jog.
Yeah, not bad. A little morning brisk walk. But I
Yeah.
think all of that comes from the fact that we think constantly, and I'm not going to say that I coined this phrase. I see this all the time online, and people probably hear it too, but we always constantly think about, what if it doesn't work out? What if I make the wrong
Yes.
decision? What if
Yes.
we think so much about that we never think about what if it does work out? Or what if this is the right move? Or what if this does help me? And that mindset can help shape a lot. So that's why I try to intentionally and smartly choose discomfort. A lot of
Yes.
people say when you're younger, make those bets on yourself, try
Yeah, I
something
like
new
that.
while you can.
Mhm.
And I'm happy I did. And yeah, I still think back. I It's moments like, man, I get mad at myself. I get mad at 18-year-old Noah. Like, dude, just go for it. Why are you thinking about it, man?
Yeah, but it was 18-year-old you. I know.
That's the fun part about perspective.
Exactly.
Now we can share that journey. So
Yeah, and you can help guide others. And I really feel like it leads to the question that I always ask at the end of all of these episodes, which is I actually feel like this entire episode has been just a bunch of advice for future wolves. I mean, you've shared so many great lines and tidbits and
mhm.
examples from your life and your story. But I guess to say it or ask it more directly is if you're sitting down with a group of students who are getting ready to start their careers at JJC, what would you tell them? What would your advice to those future wolves be?
Yeah, I'm gonna boil it down and say choose discomfort daily. And it sounds a little like, it sounds cringy. I'm gonna acknowledge that.
Oh, it
But I feel
doesn't.
like that's where I know, but you see a lot of those things online, or you see the I don't know, the TikTok bros are doing all this
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
But I really do think like every day do something really hard. That's why when I'm talking about like stretching myself, is yesterday it was getting back from work, and I'm gonna go out and go for a 3 mile run in 10-degree weather. That does not mean that is what you need to do to be
Yeah.
discomfort, but that might be, hey, I don't know if I'm 100% qualified for this internship, but I'm going to do it anyways. And maybe I'm going to message this
Mhm.
person. That could
And go
be,
for it.
yeah, that could be. And I remember another part of it for me was like going to a career fair. I was like, why would I even waste my time going to a career fair because nobody's going to hire me? And I'm happy I went. Another one
Yeah.
mindset, but same aspect to that. Maybe you don't feel comfortable walking into a room with a bunch of people you don't know and networking or introducing yourself or doing that. And all those reasons for us not to do something are the absolute reason you should do something every single day, because it helps us get better. Because a lot of people and a lot of things I dealt with was feeling 100% ready. If I am not 100% ready, I'm not going to do it because there's a chance it won't work out. And the spoiler alert to anybody listening, and probably a lot of people can relate to me too on the other end, is you will never be 100% ready for anything. There will always be a reason not to do something. So that's why I think of the being able to intentionally choose, I'm going to do something hard. And if it doesn't work out, like I said, awesome, learning moment. Failure is the best teacher. We don't want to fail, but it's a win to learn. And yeah, you grow up. You surprise yourself. You surprise yourself. I never thought I would be able to run a marathon, and I'm out running in the cold in January. So you surprise
Okay,
yourself
well, we're
when
gonna
you do those things.
we're gonna need an update on you completing that goal this year because that is incredible. And I
Yeah.
think that 18-year-old Noah would be pretty impressed with the Noah now because you
Thanks.
are obviously somebody who's taken risk and they've paid off. There's somebody that even if that didn't pay off, you've learned something from it. Just getting you on this podcast, you put yourself out there. You said, I have something to share. I have a story worth hearing. I have advice worth giving. Where can I share that to benefit others, to benefit other students and other people like me? And you reached out to sort of make this happen. And I just thought that was so impressive that you're really finding the value in being connected to JJC and ISU, to be an alum who is using their gifts and their talents and all the things that they learn to help shape this next generation of students. And so I hope more alums who are listening right now will feel so motivated to reach out and say, hey, I've got a great story to share too. I've got something that could be impactful to somebody's life. So no, I really do appreciate you coming on and just sharing so much good stuff with us. We're excited to have you here. I know that there's a couple other opportunities we'll be bringing you back on
Oh
campus
yeah.
for in the near
Please
future,
do.
and very excited. So thank you again for being here today.
Of course, Jen. Thank you so much. And thank you and the rest of the JJC team. That's like the thing that I always get excited about too, is when, as an alum, be able to see the great things that are happening on campus, whether it's Dr. Namuo talking about new opportunities for students
Yes.
and opportunities for success, but also ways that alumni are getting involved. Very proud alumni of JJC to see all the great things happen, and for you all to be investing in alumni and sharing stories. That's really cool. So happy to be a part of that journey and excited to come back to campus and do some cool stuff. I know we'll talk more about it, but looking forward to helping out. Thanks again.
Well, thank you again. And to all of our listeners, thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you'll be back on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. For more episodes, information, foundation events, and ways to give or get involved, visit jjc.edu/alumni.